the 1000 Authors Show. I am Vicky Quinn-Fraser, and this week I am interviewing Dr. Karl Walker-Finch, who has been working with me to write his first book, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be such a great book, an important book as well. And so I got him onto the show to talk about what he does, why he does it, and why he decided to write a book and his writing process. So without further ado, here is my interview with Karl, and I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed chatting with him. Hey Karl, how you doing? Welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I think you're the first dentist that we've ever had on the podcast. So now I've totally spoiled your surprise about what you do. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, I'm a dentist, strangely enough. So I'm a dentist working in Huddersfield, and I fix teeth, but I'd like to think I do a lot more than fixing teeth. Dentistry, people think it's just this like terrifying profession that people go to, and you have to go to the dentist and they shout at you for not flossing, and then you see them again 6 months later and you just pray that you never need anything doing. And I tried to approach it a bit differently to that, really. It's about people, and it's about humans, and it's about, for me, it's about giving people confidence back in their smiles. And I absolutely love it, which is, yeah, it's amazing. But people think I'm very strange when I say I love being a dentist, because they go, oh, you look at people's mouths all day. But yeah, I mean, it's great.
I can see some squeamish people being a bit like, oh, poking around in people's mouths all day. But like you said, your focus isn't on the teeth, really. Well, I mean, it is obviously because you're a dentist, but that's not what it's all about, is it?
No, it's about the person. It's about people.
Yeah.
It's about finding what people need, what people want, and what's going to make them happy and confident with what they've got. And if that means providing some dental treatment to make their teeth look brighter, nicer, or providing some dental treatment to make sure their mouth's healthy, then yeah, great, that's fine. But it's about people, not really about teeth.
Yes, we're not teeth carriers. I was going to say teeth trains then. I don't know why. I've got trains on the brain at the moment. So how did you get into being a dentist? What made you want to be a dentist?
I don't know. I've been speaking to a lot of dentists because of what we're going to come on to about this whole book thing. But yeah, like a lot of dentists, I was sort of, well, I want to do something to help people. I like the idea of a job that carries a bit of like kudos or respect sort of thing. And I think dentistry sort of does that. I was good at the sciencey subjects, and I was thinking, well, medicine, veterinary science, dentistry, and I really liked the thought of being quite hands-on and being able to, I thought of a GP where, you come in and you see someone, you give them a prescription, you send them away, you see somebody else, you send them off somewhere else, and you never actually get to do anything. In my 15-year-old head, when I was deciding about all of these things, and a GP was the only kind of doctor you could be, obviously. Yeah. But dentistry just seemed really cool because I could see people, I could talk to them, interact with people all day and help them and actually get to do most things myself. And that sounded like quite a good arrangement. And I've always quite liked crafty things and quite good with my hands. So yeah, felt like a good fit. And then I sort of did my A-levels and signed up to go to university, and then got halfway through the university. It's like, what if I don't like this? I'm doing a degree in dentistry. What if I actually don't like being a dentist and I've got a degree in dentistry? What do I do then? But fortunately, it didn't quite work out that way.
Did you have a plan B?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure I'd have found something else, but But I mean, the reality is, I didn't always love being a dentist. I really love being a dentist now, but when I first qualified, I didn't. I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that I helped people, but man, I was stressed all the time. It was really hard. And there were times where I thought, you know what, I'm not certain this is what I want to spend the next 40 years doing.
Yeah, reasonable. Well, so talk a little bit about that then, because I know that, I don't know if the stats are like true or not, but I've always read stats that incidences of mental health issues are quite high among dentists. Is that true? And if so, why do you think that is?
Everything's on social media and Facebook now, and there's a group on Facebook that's just dedicated to dental, it's called mental dental. It's like a mental health awareness in dental industry, and yeah, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of members. I mean, it's mind-blowing, really. But it can be a really stressful, really isolating profession, because you're sort of sat in one little room all day, and if you're in a small practice with not many people around you, you kind of become very insular, and it's high pressure as well. The same things that make the job great, the fact that you're dealing one-to-one with people, the fact that you're helping people, the fact that you get to fix the problems, it's entirely all on you. And most dentists are typically perfectionists. They like things to be absolutely perfect, and if it's not quite right, they beat themselves up and kick themselves about it, because damn it, I could have done that better, and nothing's ever perfect. No. But you kick yourself because and we're our own worst enemies with that, like most people are. And typically dentists are the neurotic personality types. The people who overthink everything and get inside their own heads too much.
I don't think the outside world helps much either, like media and stuff, because we're always sold this idea of and from my point of view as a person who goes to dentists, we're always sold this idea of like the perfect smile, which is like linked into the perfect body and the perfect hair and And so do you think some of it comes from that? Like people are being sold this idea of perfect.
Oh, no, nobody's influenced by the media. No. Yeah, no, absolutely. Everything has to be perfect. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse, because again, social media, Instagram, and I'm on Instagram, you can put some of my stuff up there, but you see perfect smiles all day, every day, and it's instant, it's immediate. You see dentists post these things before and after, and it happens in an instant. You go, no, it took 12 months, 2 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
But you see the before and after, and you think, wow, that happened yesterday, and it was done. So everyone thinks it's just there, and they expect it to be perfect, and expect it to all be done in an instant, with no pain, no injection, no nothing, and then it's just done. And of course, the media love to hate a dentist as well, because we're all rich, driving around in our Ferraris with, just sadists inflicting pain on everybody all the time. And that's why we love being dentists, of course, which is,
of course it is, yeah.
It's not, it's like dentists and football referees. I also did a bit of football refereeing back in the day. So it's like dentist and football referee. It's like people love to hate you. I don't know why I do that.
and you're the ones who are in people's yucky mouths, fixing their teeth and being generally lovely. And so thank you on behalf of all of the people who are scared of dentists for being a lovely dentist.
Yeah, I try.
So tell us a little bit, because you mentioned the book, and that is how we know each other, because we've done a bit of work together, and you came to me and said, I want to write a book, and we had a couple of calls, and you started writing a book. And I know that it's in really good shape now, because the last time, it's getting there, because the last time we talked was like, oh, this is in really good shape. Let's think. So tell us about your book. Why did you decide to write a book? Because it's not a common thing for a dentist to do.
I started, the idea hit me. I actually had a friend who's also a dentist who said, oh, I'm writing a book. I was like, what? You can do that? you can just write a book? I was like, yeah, and I was like, I'd never even thought about doing this. And this was 12 months ago now. And he says, yeah, I'm going to write. I was like, I'd like to do that. That sounds like a great, I'd love to have a book. And I was thinking, well, you know what? I love being a dentist. Some other people love being dentists too. There are plenty of great dentists out there, but a lot of people don't love being a dentist. And a lot of people coming out to university, like I did, come out maybe with the wrong idea about what dentistry is about, what they're expecting from the profession, where they think they can go, how they're going to get there. And you come out and you've been taught to fix teeth in dental school. And you can place a nice little filling, but there's a lot more to fixing teeth than fixing teeth.
Yes.
It's the people skills, it's the interaction, it's the communication, it's personal development. We all have this obligation as dentists, doctors, to do continuing professional development. And it's when I look at it, it's a minuscule amount of compulsory education that you have to do to show you're keeping your hand in. And it's, oh gosh, off the top of my head, something like 50 hours a year or something like this.
Okay.
And then I looked at what I'd done, and I'm doing like over 200 hours every year.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm kind of easily ticking that box a bit. But you sort of, dentists come out now and again with all the social media, they see things and want to instantly be the best, doing the best work, and they get really then disheartened by the fact that they're not doing the best, and they try to do the best and it's not as good as everybody else because they've just qualified and everybody else had a lot more practice.
Yeah.
And the idea really behind the book was to try and inspire a bit more love for dentistry, you know, why I love it, why I didn't love it, and my journey to get to where I am now, and hopefully get people on the right track, get dentists on the right track to love doing their job. Because ultimately, if you love doing dentistry, if you love being a dentist, if you love helping people, which is the main reason why most people get into dentistry, you're going to be a better dentist and you're going to look after your patients better. And then, of course, it's getting the balance as well, because, you know, you can't just work 24/7 and neglect everything else in your life. That will very quickly lead to burning out. So it's getting that balance in life as well, and hopefully building a really fulfilling career as a dentist.
And that's the thing that I really loved about your book, was how you ask some really kind of pointy questions throughout, especially at the beginning. So I loved that you want to get people to really think about why they're doing what they do and the direction they're going in case rather than just kind of drifting through and being like, oh, well, this is the path that I'm on. So how important was that in kind of putting your book together and getting it out to people?
Well, finding your why is the first chapter, and there's a reason it's the first chapter. It's fundamental to everything, and I do the same when I'm mentoring, lecturing, speaking, whatever I'm doing. I have to understand why you're doing something. So there's no point in saying just dictating you need to do this, do this, do this, do this. It's understanding why you're doing everything, and finding that reason for whatever you do is the most important thing. But with dentistry and your profession, most people got in there to help people. Most people do it because they like interacting with people and they want to help people and they're good at helping people. And yeah, it's getting people to really just hone back in on that foundation and keeping themselves grounded. So, look, we got in this to help people. And by doing this, we're going to help people. And then that leads on to me writing the book, because I go, well, actually, I love doing what I do. And actually, through doing what I do in dentistry, I'm helping, 2,000 patients a year or whatever it is, whoever's I'm looking after. And actually, the lecturing, the mentoring and stuff I do leads on and think, well, actually, if I can help other dentists help their patients, I can help more people. I can have a bigger impact, and it scales in that way. And the book's an extension of that. Again, I want the book to be. I just want to make the world a better place, Vicky. That's in my own little way.
Which is so cool, and that's the reason we work together, because I help people write books with a bit of a mission. Do you think that people's why gets a bit lost in the kind of study and then freneticness of I'm just becoming a new dentist and it's all really stressful and Do you think it becomes a bit lost?
Yeah, absolutely, because you get so fixated on all the individual little points of everything that you lose sight of the big picture. I wear loupes when I work, and these loupes are 5 times magnification, so they're on my head and they're 5 times, and I'm looking down at this little section that's this big, I can just about see most of the mouth in one view with the loop. So I'm focused on a really small point, and this really small point is what a lot of dentists and a lot of people in general get fixated on. You get your loupes on and you focus, and you're looking at this individual tooth that you're fixing. You're looking at this individual aspect of your career, or this really difficult bit, this really challenging bit. And you've not noticed that the patient's got a ton of water in their mouth and they need to spit out, or you need to get rid of that. You lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it's the same in your career. You can get so fixated on the little things that you forget to see the big picture. And yeah, it's bringing that grounding and reminding yourself of why you're doing this sort of thing every day, that helps you put things into perspective sometimes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great book when it's finished. I think people are gonna find it really useful. Also, I now have this image of you in my head with like steampunk things and like a steampunk hat and like a great big like. I think I can see a cool illustration.
I think there's a picture on my Instagram of me wearing my loops. I don't know. You find
like steampunk Karl. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Okay, so tell us a bit about like the writing process. What have you enjoyed most? What have you found challenging? What have you enjoyed most about it?
I've loved writing. Just writing. I didn't. So I again, when I was in school, I hated it. I hated reading. I hated writing. English was the worst GCSE I got. You know, it was just like, oh, this is just, I can't wait till I go to college and I don't have to do English anymore and read books and write stuff. I like equations. I like chemical formulae. I like definite answers. None of this airy, fairy, artsy stuff. That kind of persisted well into my 20s and possibly even starting into my 30s. And then I picked up a book and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. I couldn't tell you which book specifically. And then another one, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And all these sort of personal development books I started reading, it was like, oh, that's interesting. And people like Seth Godin and Dan Pink and all of these guys. And I was like, oh, it's really fascinating. I love all of this. And I read more and more. And it's like, okay, well, you know, I decided at the start of lockdown to build myself a website. And then I got told, oh, the best way to generate traffic to your website is to write a blog. So I started writing a blog. I was like, I quite like writing this blog. And I'm sort of partially regurgitating some of the personal development stuff I've read, bringing in some of my own ideas. And I started writing and I was like, and then the book thought came, I was like, well, I'm writing a blog. Why don't I just pull some of those bits together and write a bit more and start writing? And at first it was hard because I tried to sit down and write the book start to finish. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is really hard. And then the tack changed. I think it was probably you who gave me the advice, which was to just write about what you love and write about what fascinates you, write about what you're interested in, but just write. Don't edit, don't censor yourself, just write. And the other big thing that helped for me was dictating. So I'll get an idea in the car, and instead of waiting to write it all down when I get home or into work or something like this, I'll dictate it to Siri or, you know, other apps are available. But, you know, I also, right, and I'll read this out. And what I noticed, which was fascinating, was that when I spoke the words out, it came out in my voice.
Yes.
And when I was writing it down, it was, I was very like, you should do this and you should do this and one should do this. And it wasn't me and it wasn't natural. You know, I've not done loads and loads of writing before. So I'm still finding my way, finding my voice with that. But the whole writing process suddenly became really enjoyable because I could just speak a bit in the car and then pull that in later. And then I could just sit down and blast out 1,000 words. And it didn't matter whether it was a pile of rubbish. Mm-hmm. I was just writing and I was like, oh, this is great. It's great fun. And then the words kept adding up and then had them in some sort of order that we sort of penciled in a while ago. And it was great fun. It's like, this is brilliant. I'm just enjoying writing. That's and at some point I might pull it all together and it'll form some sort of book, whatever one of those is. But yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you love the writing process, like the actual process of writing. And I'm so glad that that worked, like, because dictation doesn't work for everybody, but obviously works really well for you. And so that's fantastic, especially if, like you say, you're not used to actually writing, because people tend to slip into this, oh, I'm sitting down to write now. So they change, like you say, they change. So for you, who is not so used to write, or who wasn't so used to writing, yeah, that dictation can really help you to get back to who you are again.
Yeah.
Cool. So what did you find most, what have you found? What are you finding? Because I know you're not quite there yet. What are you finding most challenging about writing a book?
the time issue, making the time to actually do it, if I'm being honest. Actually, I was saying I've enjoyed the writing. Editing, which is where I'm at now, is hard. Vicky, you've been a massive help with structuring the book and getting it in the right way, telling me, which bits I've written well, which bits sound great, which bits are a bit needing some work, should we say, and being able to think, okay, well, I can see what's good about that, and I can see why that's rubbish, and redoing that. But that's actually getting the time to sit down and do all of that is the most difficult thing, and it's about making the time. Well, not making it, but creating space in your diary to do that. And there's a million and one excuses we can all have for not having the time to do stuff, but unless you actually commit to doing it, and this is where I've never written more or never done more on my book than when I was doing your power hours. And this is not like a plug. I
had no idea he was going to say that. So.
No. I just say. But when there was little 2 weeks when I was off in the summer, because no one's going anywhere at the moment anyway. So we're certainly not. When I was off in the summer, I was on your power hours, and most days I logged in the power hour, and I've never worked so much on the book than I managed to do during that time. Because it's just focus time for me to sit down. It's like, this is happening. I'm doing my book. Everyone else can go and eat the breakfast, but I'm doing my book in this hour. I'm working on it, and it just helped me carve out that time to actually get on with it.
That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted it to be, and I'm so glad you said that, because it's one of those, it's a funny thing. My power hours they're incredibly difficult to describe to people and to persuade people to come and try it, but they're so powerful.
Yeah. When I saw it, I saw you had these powers. Well, that's a great idea. Is it? So I'm paying to be part of the group, and not sure. And then I hadn't been to any of them, and then I did it, and I committed to it, and it was like, for a couple of weeks, it was like, whoa, this is amazing. And you're with other people who are doing the same thing, and you're bouncing ideas around and all of this stuff. It's
magic.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it is. The power of a group of really smart people in a room together is epic. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. When are you hoping to publish your book, Karl?
It was like ages ago, and then it was recently, and then it was like October, November, and now it's sort of probably going to be early next year, because stuff's going on and things are happening. I'm in the process of buying my own dental practice, which is mega exciting.
It's exciting.
But there's loads of stuff that goes with that as well. And so the idea was, I wanted the book in my mind. I wanted the book to be published and done before I owned my own place. And there's a possibility that I might get it finished before then, in a month or two. But in all likelihood, it's, being realistic, it's going to be next year.
Yeah. And that's
before
cool.
it's actually published, and that's fine. It takes what it takes. It's got to be good before I put it out. It's got to be done. Yeah. But I'm not gonna. I need to get on with it, basically. I need to keep making the time to get it done. But
that is true. And sometimes stuff just comes along that does need your attention more urgently, and buying a new dental practice, I think, does fall into that category. So I'm just going to remind you and the people listening as well that there is stuff that you can do in like 20-minute increments. So don't fall into the trap of thinking, I need to have like a massive chunk of time to do decent work on it. Remember that you can always get a little bit done, and even if it's just 20 minutes. So that's good to remember. Okay, well, I'm really excited about your book. I've got other questions for you though. It's the rapid fire round, because we are running out of time. I'm going to get you back when you actually published your book as well, so that we can talk about that, where people can find it. But hang on, I have to write a question down because otherwise I will forget it. Okay.
I'm nervous about that question now. I kind of knew you were doing the rapid fire round because I've heard you do it in the other podcast. So it's like, now you've got extra questions for me?
No, it's just one. It won't be a surprise. It's just that I always ask it, but then I'm always terrified that I'm going to forget to ask it. And so I've actually had to write it down now because I forget all of the things. So this is, as I always say, shamelessly stolen from Brené Brown's podcast and then adapted. Karl, what are you reading right now?
Many things,
Okay.
always, but most interesting one is probably a book called Anthrax Island by D.L. Marshall, which is a love story, obviously. No, it's it's like a thriller, a murder mystery type thing. So, I've always got like a fiction going. That's probably the most interesting thing. I mean, it's really good, really good. Yeah, it's one of them books.
I'm going to add that to my list of books to read.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's good.
Anthrax Island, excellent. Okay, and what's a favourite book of yours? Not the favourite, because I think that's an impossible question, but a favourite.
I just reread Man's Search for Meaning by Dr.
Frankl, yeah.
And it just blows my mind every time. It's one of the first books I read, and again comes back to why I'm writing about why you have to find your purpose and all of these things. Friedrich Nietzsche, he who has a why can
endure anyhow, isn't it?
Yeah, that one can withstand anyhow, and that I always seem to sort of come back to Viktor Frankl and think, well, listen, if this guy can find meaning in his concentration camp suffering, then yeah, there's so much we can learn from that. It's just an incredible book.
Thank you for that reminder. It is an incredible book. And a favourite film of yours? What's a favourite film of yours?
I don't really have one. I once upon a time I'd have said Shawshank Redemption, which is cliched because it's like everybody's favourite film. I don't really watch much.
That's fair.
So yeah,
have an answer to that.
The last film I went to the cinema to see was Paw Patrol with my kids. So that it's not really made the top 10, but
I don't know. I think Paw Patrol's a modern classic. Okay, what's the last thing you binged watch, if you indeed do binge watch things?
Yeah, again, we're currently doing our version of binge watching The Sopranos, which we're like way out of date on.
I've never seen it.
No, well, yeah, we got in. My wife's a psychotherapist; she's a counsellor, and so a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should watch Sopranos." I was like, I don't really watch TV, all the usual stuff. I said, and then saying about my wife, he said, "Well, the main premise of The Sopranos is yes, this gangster guy, but he's talking to his psychiatrist, and that's what the whole of it's based around." So I told Marisa this, and she's like, "Well, let's watch it." So we're now watching The Sopranos. Binge watching, I were watching like 2 episodes a week.
Yeah,
which is binge watching.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I might have to give it a go because my husband was like, "Oh, The Sopranos was like the first ever incidents of the anti-hero," because we've watched Breaking Bad and stuff. And I was like, "Is it not too late now?" But nobody's ever described it like it's him talking to his psychotherapist. So now I'm interested.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. There's a lot of depth in there. It's not just gangsters shooting each other all the time.
Yeah, because I hate gangster shit. So, but that sounds interesting. So, okay, cool. Thank you. What's your favorite place?
So again, my wife's part Italian. Her grandma is from this little village in the mountains in Italy called Bezzara, and the village that we go and stay in, we've been a couple of times now. It's called Roccamonfina, and it's this tiny little Italian village up in the mountains. You're driving up in 35-degree heat in August, and there's warning signs for snow. It's really confusing, but obviously it snows a lot in the winter because it's up in the mountains. But it's like southern Italy. So where's the snow? But in the center of Roccamonfina, there's this little piazza, and there's only a couple of thousand people in this village, and no one speaks any English. And I just remember sitting out in the piazza with a little espresso, reading a book, and I was like, it's just the best place in the world. Yeah, it was just beautiful. And it's like, so if I could go anywhere, it's like, poof, there, that'd be right now.
Awesome, thank you. And what does power mean to you? What does having power mean to you?
Well, that's a curveball.
Yeah.
Power, I don't know. Power, to me, I guess, is being in control of yourself. being in control of your own destiny, and being free to live a life that you want to live, really.
That's a cool answer. Thank you. One of my interviews the other day said being able to turn the lights on. And I was like, that is also a valid answer.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What are you grateful for right now?
Everything. Family, probably. Family. I've got a lot of wonderful family around me. Parents still around, kids, siblings, nephews, nieces. Family's got so much bigger in recent years. And just because my family live an hour or so away from us, we met up on the weekend and we all got together for the first time in like 2 years, and the family was 2 or 3 members bigger than it was the last time we got together, and it's great. Family. Yeah.
And what are you most proud of?
I don't know. Very proud of my sister at the moment. She's got a first in midwifery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's just graduated with honours. It's like, blows my mind, because a few years ago there was just no way that would have happened. And yeah, so probably right now my sister. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. And what's on your bedside table?
A sad lamp and a glass bottle for water. That's it.
Nice.
Simple.
Sad lamp's going to come out again soon. I have
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for all of those. And the final question, where can we find out more about you?
Oh, I'm easy to find. You Google me, you've got my website, which is walkerfinch.com, all one word, walkerfinch.com. Or you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Karl Smiles. You find me on Facebook, or just around Huddersfield, being dentist, doing dentisty stuff.
And all of those links will be in the show notes. So if you want to go and follow Karl's progress on his book, on his new practice, then find him on Instagram, have a look on his website, follow his blog, or go and stalk him in person. Don't stalk him in person. That's very creepy. But yes, you can go and do that. Karl, thank you so much for joining me on the 1000 Author Show. I can't wait until I can get you back so that you can wave your book around on camera. And that's going to be so exciting, because I'm so excited about your book and so proud of how far you've come. It's going to be such a great book. I've really enjoyed reading it, and it's been a real privilege to see the early stages of it. So yeah, excited. Can't wait to see you celebrating having it in your hands, because that is a feeling like no other. So.
No, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Thank you for your help along the way, and thanks for having me on today.
You are most welcome. Thank you very much. And yeah, signing off. So that was my interview with Karl, and it was, as you can hopefully tell, he is extremely passionate about what he does, and about helping other dentists to remember why they do what they do as well. And I just think that's a really good message for everybody, and a really good reminder of when you get stuck, whether it's in writing or in business or in anything else you do, just remember why you started. I've got a little coaster on my desk that says "Remember why you started," and I've got a sticky note that says "It's not for you. It's not for me," and that helps me to get unstuck again, because I think sometimes we get so bogged down in ego, not in a narcissistic way, but our ego demands that we do stuff perfectly and that we do stuff really well. It's not for us. That's not why we're doing it, right? I mean, yes, we're doing it for our own joy, but ultimately most of us who run a business started our businesses because we want to help people. And so whenever I'm really stuck on a piece of writing or something, I just remember it's not for me. Why did I start this? And I think that can be a really powerful thing to remember. So thank you, Karl, for that reminder. And keep writing, people. If you're listening to this and you're like, could I write a book? Yeah, you could. Hopefully Karl's story has inspired you. There are people out there who need your message, who need your stories, who need your experience. So crack on and do it, please. We will be back same time next week, talking about my book, my work in progress, and the struggles that I'm having. Joe will be interviewing me and poking me about that. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like it, please subscribe to it, please share it, please rate and review us. We really, really appreciate the reviews that we get. If you have any questions about writing or books or indie publishing or anything like that, please email me, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk, and we will answer your questions on the podcast. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for spending this half an hour a week with me and my guests and my husband. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And thank you for being awesome. And thank you for Podfly for always making these podcasts sound brilliant and getting them out there. And thank you to Harriet for doing all of the magical things that you do to get these podcasts out on social media and get them in front of more people. Thank you. I will be back next week. Ta-ta!